Good morning and welcome to the Sidewalk Vendor Workshop. My name is Lena Velasco. I'm the Director of Community Development. I'm joined here from staff from Water Resource Recovery as well as staff from Contra Costa Health Services, Environmental Health. And we're here to sort of share information about how to permit a sidewalk vendor business. So what we're going to do with the presentation is first Environmental Health will do their part, and then we also will have staff from the finance department that will talk about business license requirements, and then Water Resource Recovery will also describe their stormwater requirements for sidewalk vendors.
My name's Krimosen. I run the mobile food program, part of environmental health, part of Contra Costa Health Services with Jessica Collado. Together we're the leads for the program. I'm happy everyone's here today. I'm very happy that Richmond is hosting us so we can get more people aware of basically what to do correctly for sidewalk food vending. I do like interruptions. I do like questions being answered right away. So if you need to put your hand up or if you want to ask a quick question, no problem whatsoever. Just let me know. If it's going to be explained in the next slide, I'll tell you that. So don't worry, there's no dumb questions. I want to make sure that you know everything you need to know if this is something you'd like to do. So let's get started with just the very simple question. When is a health permit required? So in Contra Costa County, any food or beverage provided to the public requires a health permit, and there are a few exceptions. There's many types of health permits for a different type of food sale. The one we're going to be talking about today is mobile food facility. But let's pretend you go through this presentation and say, I don't know if I really fall under that. I say don't be discouraged. Talk to us after or talk to us at a consultation because it's possible that you might fit into a different category. But kind of the bigger ones, mobile food facility, that's what we're going over today. That's like your traditional food truck, food trailers. Cottage food operation, that's for a home-based kitchen. There's only a certain amount of foods that can be made from a home-based kitchen, but that's what a cottage food operation permit is. Temporary event facility, that's like at a swap meet or a city-sponsored event, usually just a temporary one-day event. Catering is when you're delivering the food to your customer. And a more traditional retail food facility, that would be like your fixed location like Starbucks, McDonald's, a large restaurant. That's more of the retail food facility. Okay, so what is a mobile food facility? A mobile food facility is a type of permit in which a food can be sold in a mobile manner. There's the types of food operation and then the types of structural units that splits up a mobile food facility. So the types of food operation is prepackaged, non-potentially hazardous food. We're going to be talking about potentially hazardous food a lot in this presentation, so let me give you a quick definition. Potentially hazardous food, those are foods that require a temperature control to be served safely or kept safely. So this would be something like raw meat, cooked beans, cooked rice. This would not be something like chips or water bottles or candy bars. Those are considered non-potentially hazardous food. Whole uncut produce, like for example, whole oranges, whole watermelon. Limited food preparation, we're going to go over what that exactly is, or full preparation. So those are the types of food operation. The types of structural units are split into your unenclosed or enclosed. Enclosed mobile food facility, that's more your traditional food trucks when you're kind of thinking in your head. That's the trailer style or the food truck style. Unenclosed, a lot more meets that definition. So that could be push carts, stands, tables, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, the compact mobile food operations. So as of January 1st, 2023, there's been new changes to California Retail Food Code that allow compact mobile food operation. It expands the definition of limited food preparation. It reduces the structural requirements while still maintaining the food safety requirements. And health permits are exempt for prepackaged, non-potentially hazardous food or whole uncut produce for a less than 25 square feet sale. So let's go over the exemption. You're exempt from requiring a health permit if you're selling in 25 square feet or less, your food is prepackaged, non-potentially hazardous, or a whole uncut produce. And again, a non-potentially hazardous food, that's like a candy bar, a water bottle, a soda. Your food must come from an approved source, and your food must be stored in a safe and sanitary manner. You must have overhead protection, and you must have a restroom available. If you're not able to meet these requirements, or if you're selling more than 25 square feet, a health permit is required. So does that make sense? If you meet these requirements, you'd be exempt. So for example, yes. Less than 25 square feet and these all other requirements. So for example, so you would have to be selling outside of the vehicle. Like for example, a good way to visualize it is this table is about 5 feet, maybe by 2.5 feet. So that's less than our 25 square feet. Grocery store, okay. Okay. You would still have your retail food permit, your grocery store permit. So this would be something separate. If you like, we can talk about this afterwards. Just because you already have an active permit, you wouldn't be able to say, oh, now we're kind of exempt, or now we're not exempt anymore. You would still be under that retail food permit. This would be, for example, if someone were just to have a stand like this, have it easy up, and then have oranges on a table. This operation, like this, as long as it's from an approved source, as long as these other things are applicable, then this person would be exempt from requiring a permit. Do you have, actually, you know what, come to me after the end, because we'll talk about your specifics, because you already have a retail food permit, so I can help you at the end. But does that kind of visual make sense on who's the exempt? Okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the structural requirements for street vending with a compact mobile food operation. So the compact mobile food operation, CMFO, they must meet these two requirements. They can only conduct limited food preparation, and you must be an unenclosed, open mobile food unit. So for example, the trailer style or RV style, we're not talking about that type of sale. We're talking about more of a cart or a stand. So this is going to be a little specific. We're just talking about the limited food preparation definition. So this is what is allowed for these compact mobile food, and it's required if that's the route you're looking to go. So these types of things are allowed. You're able to assemble open foods, dispensing and portioning of a non-potentially hazardous food, dispensing and portioning a temperature-controlled food, holding, portioning, and dispensing foods prepared or prepackaged at a permanent food facility or by a catering operation, slicing and chopping non-potentially hazardous foods or produce washed as approved facility, slicing and chopping food on a heated cooking surface, cooking and seasoning to order, juicing or preparing beverages to order that do not contain frozen milk products, hot and cold holding of food that has been prepared at an approved food facility, and reheating food prepared at an approved food facility and held at proper temperatures. And like I said, this is pretty specific. Don't get too bogged down on like the definition. At the end, when we talk about the idea or what your questions are, we could kind of help you fine tune what you're actually going to be doing a little more. So this type of sale is not limited food preparation. It does not meet the definition, and it's not allowed. Slicing and chopping potentially hazardous food, unless it's on a heated cooking surface, thawing, cooling cooked potentially hazardous foods, grinding raw ingredients or potentially hazardous food, washing foods, cooking potentially hazardous food for later use, handling, manufacturing, freezing, processing, or packaging milk products, or products resembling milk products. So pretend we fall under one of these things. Again, it's not the end of the world. You just wouldn't be able to do the limited food preparation definition to be a compact mobile operation. You would either have to move on to a different permit, or you'd have to be a full preparation and require more of that trailer style or RV style food truck. Okay, so these are good examples of what a compact mobile food operation could look like. If you look on the top one, those are all candies. They're all sealed. They're all from the manufacturer. On the bottom right-hand side, this is an example of like a hot dog cart, or there's a refrigerator there so they can sell prepared foods straight from the refrigerator. And on the left-hand side, that's a display cart so they can serve foods that are packaged. But this is as simple as it needs to be. We're not talking about large trailers or RV style. It could be very small like these ones show here. Okay, so this slide is in your goodie bag. It just kind of visualizes what is required based on the severity of like the food safety risks. Like for example, a prepackaged food doesn't require much. If we're more than 25 square feet, as long as we're still selling non-potentially hazardous foods like our chips and sodas, you just need a permit if you're beyond that 25 square feet exemption. The next category is called prepackaged, potentially hazardous food. That's like pretend I would make tamales like in the photo here, or I would make a dish and put it in a container and have it in a hot unit. That's like an example of a prepackaged, potentially hazardous food. Or if I make a salad beforehand and I put them in packages, that's an example of a prepackaged, potentially hazardous food. You're going to require access to a commissary. All your food is going to need to be from an approved source. You're always going to need overhead protection, and you're going to need to have proper food storage. You're going to need mechanical refrigeration or a hot holding unit. Mechanical means that it's supplied by power. It's not something like an ice chest. It'd be something like a refrigerator plugged into power. And your unsold food would be discarded at end of day. Now the next risk level up is limited food preparation with no raw meat. So for example, this would be like cooking corn, street corn style. You would need to have all the things I listed before, but you would also need a 3-compartment sink or extra utensils if you're able to meet that requirement. So for example, if I'm cooking street corn on top of a flat top, then as long as I have maybe 10 extra tongs on the right-hand side that are clean, then I wouldn't require a 3-compartment sink. I would just require more clean utensils to keep rotating. And a hand wash sink to wash my hands, and a food handler card. Now the highest risk would be limited food preparation with raw meat. This is like if I'm making hamburgers on a flat top grill. From raw, I'm going to need a 3-compartment sink and a hand wash sink with hot water. So does that make sense to everybody, kind of scales of increasing from least amount of risk to most amount of risk? Okay, perfect. So let's go over the warewashing and hand washing requirements. So hand washing sink, only required when handling open foods. A warewashing sink required if handling open foods, unless we can do that adequate supply of clean utensils. Like, for example, when I was talking about cooking the corn, if I had a bunch of tongs extra. A 3-compartment warewashing sink is required if we're handling raw meat, poultry, or fish. And we're only required to have hot water if we're handling raw meat, poultry, or fish, and it must measure at least 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, let's talk about the potable water and wastewater tanks. Potable means clean water, so your clean water tank size must be at least 5 gallons of water for the hand washing sink. And if we have a warewashing 3-compartment sink, we must have at least 15 gallons of clean water. And wastewater tank size, it's a basic formula. It's 1.5 times of the potable clean water tank. So for example, if I only require a hand washing tank, I just multiply that by 1.5 times 5, and that's the size of my wastewater tank. So as you can see, it doesn't require too much to get started. It could be relatively simple. Let's pretend like we have this concept in our head. We're able to move on to the next stage. The next stage is getting you permitted. So number 1 would do a plan review application, and then number 2 would be the actual permit itself. But first of all, before you even start this process, I think it's a good idea to understand what type of food you want to sell. And then based on that, you're able to see what type of these structural requirements are maybe needed or not really needed. So once we're done with that, we're able to go to step number 1, the plan review application. So the plan review application, it just reviews and verifies our specific requirements for constructing a mobile food facility unit. And this is the first step to be approved before a health permit can be issued. So when is a plan review required? So a plan review is required if we're buying or building a new mobile food unit, or if we're remodeling an existing mobile food facility unit. A plan review is not required if we're buying a used, previously permitted unit by another California county. So for example, if we purchased one from San Francisco that had all the paperwork, or from Los Angeles, then if we have all the paperwork, a plan review may not be required. But you're always to have proof. So for example, if you were to look on online marketplaces, or throughout the county or throughout other counties, if they're able to give you this information that shows it's been previously permitted, a plan review is not required. Or if we're selling the following items: prepackaged ice cream, push carts or vehicle, whole uncut produce only, or prepackaged non-potentially hazardous food. So this square is on the top right. That's what a decal will look like. Again, Contra Costa County, that's not the only county it could be. For example, if it says Alameda County, then that would be valid as well. And on the bottom right-hand side, that's what our permit to operate looks like. So if you were to purchase one used, this is something you should be asking for or looking for. It can make the plan review and the permitting process much easier. Okay. The mobile food plan check process, what's required is to submit a plan to Contra Costa County Environmental Health for review and include the required documents. The required documents are a floor plan, a drawing of the unit with location of all the equipment, a finish schedule for the material of the construction, equipment schedule for the specifics, like for example, refrigerators or hooding or flat top grills, a plumbing plan that shows all the plumbing, water, and wastewater tanks, and the menu for the type of food. This next slide is just showing what an example what it would look like. For example, the floor plan, the type of food I would sell for this hypothetical, the finish schedule, like for example, stainless steel is my material, and my equipment schedule, like for example, it's showing the blender and the blender model I'm using. Okay, just more examples of what it looked like from a top-down view. I have my business name in this hypothetical. It's all shown on the blueprint.
These required to be prepared by a licensed professional, or is this something we can do?
No, that's a very good question. So you do not need a professional to do this. This is something that can be done and has been done by just a normal person that decides this is what they want to do. That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. The goal is to make it simple enough so an average person can do this themselves. If this is something you're looking into, let us know at the end, please, because we have the construction checklist that can help a lot with this process. Thank you. All right, so let's pretend we just got everything approved. Our plans are approved. The next step is to go to the permit application. So this is the permit to operate. Before I can even start, what do I need to start? What do I need to have before applying for the permit? The commissary form needs to be signed and approved. We're going to be talking about commissary in a little while, so the commissary form is just keep that in your mind. Other agency approvals, only if applicable. This is like if you were operating at a fixed location, if you were parking for a long time, and if you had wastewater disposal. So let's talk about the types of commissary. So if you haven't heard that word before, commissary, it's basically where all the services are going to be provided for the mobile food facility. So a main commissary, that's a business location that provides all services for different types of mobile food. Restaurant, production kitchen. This is a permitted kitchen specifically for mobile foods. This kind of option is this is something for somebody that has a restaurant and they maybe decide to have a food truck in addition to the restaurant. This is kind of like an avenue to look into. A home commissary. So this is for overnight storage for compact mobile foods, but only for a specific type of vendors. We're going to talk about what exactly can be done from a home commissary. And the bottom, these are all the services that a commissary would provide to a mobile food facility. Again, these are pretty specific, so just kind of know as a general, but things like our commercial cooking space, our parking, a place to dispose waste, that would be all done at the commissary. And inside our packet today, we have a list of commissaries within our county. And another thing to think about, pretend you live on the edge of maybe Contra Costa and Alameda or Berkeley. You don't need to be in a commissary in Contra Costa. As long as it's a permitted kitchen that has a commissary permit, you're able to use it. Okay, so a home commissary. So a home commissary can be used for CMFOs if they're prepackaged, non-potentially hazardous, or for whole fruit and uncut vegetables. So this wouldn't be for example, if I wanted to make burgers, I wouldn't be able to do everything 100% from home. This would be only if I was selling like snacks, like things in prepackaged, the soda, candy bars, those types of foods. I wouldn't be able to serve, like, for example, tacos or hamburgers from a home commissary. That wouldn't be something that's allowed within Contra Costa County. And to have a home commissary, an evaluation is required, and we have a limit of 2 compact mobile foods operations per home. And during our evaluation, we're looking for overhead protection, an enclosed spaced or cart cover, a way to prevent unapproved access to your compact mobile food operation, a way to prevent vermin shelter or infestation, approved flooring in the storage area, and that you, the operator, can access your CMFO at any time. So in Contra Costa County, at this time, we don't have anything where it's cooked from home. All we have is the cottage food operation. And I can go over that, exactly what can be done at home. That would be things like cookies. I don't know the list exactly, but it'd be things like baked goods like cookies. There's like freeze-dried coffee on the list. At the end, I'll bring it up on the computer, and I'll show you exactly what can be done from home. But it wouldn't be more complex foods. It wouldn't be something like burritos or like foods that have like rice and foods that have meat. It'd be things like cookies, brownies, sweets like that. But that's maintained by the state. At the end of the presentation, I'll bring it up there so that you can see it, and you can see exactly what foods there are. It's mostly the baked foods, but don't let me forget, at the end, I'll bring it up so you can see it on the main screen. That state is maintained by the list. I'm sorry, it's maintained by the state, and it's constantly changing based on the new information that they get. So I'll bring that up at the end exactly so you can see which foods there are. So once everything's approved, once you have everything together, then you have your permit application. So the process, once we receive it, you submit your application. Your application will be processed just to make sure that everything is there that's required. An inspector, Jessica or I, will call or email you to schedule the inspection. And once we actually get you there, once we get you inspected, then that means you're permitted if everything's approved. For the application form, it's hosted on our website. And I'm going to go to our website after this just so you can see what it looks like. So let's pretend we get you permitted. This is what you would expect during your permit year. So the permitting inspection, it's once per year. And that's just when we go to verify everything's working correctly so that you have everything you need to work. A routine inspection. And we always recommend to apply for a permit application as soon as you can. It's per calendar year, so January 1st to December 31st. So if this is something you're looking into, I think it's always a good idea to renew, maybe by November and December. That way we have all the paperwork done. That way we're able to permit you by that January 1st. So on the right-hand side, this is what the routine inspection report is going to look like. When we go to you in person, we're going to be doing it by hand unless things change and it's digital, but you'll receive a yellow carbon copy, so you have all your information. And the permitting inspection, it's just a structural inspection of the mobile food facility so that we're able to see you have everything you need. So for example, if you're making tamales, I'm going to make sure that your hot holding unit is working correctly. If it's not, then I'm not certain that you can serve this food safely. It'd be like that type of inspection. A routine inspection, that's when you're actually working and you're actively operating, and that's just to make sure that your operation on that day is good, and if there's any corrections, then we would make corrections on site. And it's just to evaluate the critical risk factors. Like for example, if you drop something on the ground and you pick it up and then continue to work with that dirty utensil, that'd be an example of like a critical risk factor. Or if you touch raw meat and then you touch a salad that you're going to serve to someone right away, then that's like a critical risk factor. The bottom right-hand side, that's what a decal will look like. I think it's a good idea to kind of look out for that. Whenever you go to a food truck, if they have a decal from us or another California county, that means they're permitted. And then the permit to operate, that's usually in the records. That's someone's actual permit from us. Usually it's either kept posted or it's in their file folder. So the operating requirements, it's going to get a little specific, so just kind of think of the summary. So the location, wherever you're parked, you need to follow the city's requirements. If you're incorporated, that means you're in a part of the county where the city is incorporated. For example, here in Richmond, they're incorporated. Then you would look at the requirements. Or if you're unincorporated, that's a part of the county where it's not managed by like a city itself, it's the county. Then you would look at the county requirements. Your location, always make sure it cannot endanger pedestrian safety or obstruct parking and traffic regulations. Your hours of operation, always check with your city, like for example, Richmond City, for their requirements. If you're in the unincorporated parts of the county, you can't operate beyond 8:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. And you have a maximum operation time per location. If you're motorized, it's 1 hour. If you're non-motorized, it's 2 hours. So if you're en route, that means you're moving locations after these 1 to 2 hours of operating. And if you're at a fixed location, it means you're operating in the same location for the more than 1 or 2 hours. Restrooms for an enclosed mobile food, so that's like your food truck, food trailer, you must operate within 200 feet of a restroom if operating more than 1 hour in a fixed location. For the compact mobile food operations, like for example your stands or your push carts, you're exempt from this if you operated by more than 1 employee. So the kind of thinking is that you have employees to rotate. And again, pretend you went through this whole presentation and you said, oh, well, I don't really meet in this limited food preparation, or I don't meet on these all the requirements. Again, that's not the end of the world. That just means you would be able to do a full preparation mobile food. So if this is something you're thinking about, I think it's a good idea to have a consultation with us, just so we can talk about what's required. There are more construction requirements, but we're trying to make the process a little bit easier to understand, and we're going to go to our website now to show us all those resources. Okay, so we're going to go to our website. I'm going to show you a couple things. First of all, I'm going to show you how to get to our website. I'm going to show you how to schedule a consultation. I'm going to show you where all the resources are, and then I'm going to also show the state cottage food operation list. I'm going to show the state one so that you can find that. If you go on your search provider or go straight to our URL, if you type in Contra Costa Health Services, you're going to get our main splash page. So this is where all our programs are listed. This isn't just environmental health, this is everything. So environmental health, hazmat, health and housing. Our program is under environmental health. So click on environmental health. Our specific section that we're talking about today, this is under food. So we click on food. Right now we're on the whole retail food program. So that includes everything, catering, normal fixed facilities like our Starbucks, McDonald's. So just scroll down a little bit, and we're going to go to mobile food. So click on mobile food. And right here, schedule a free consultation. So let me click on this one and show you what it looks like. So we click on the free consultation. So we can choose between in-person, so that means you come to our office and we're meeting with you in person. Over the phone, you provide us with a phone number and we'll call you. Or a virtual consultation. This is through Teams. You do not need to download an app. You're able to do it web-based. So whichever one you're able to make, it's a 20-minute consultation. So let's pretend I'm gonna make one here. So I want to do it in person, so I chose in person. Jessica in the back speaks English and Spanish. I only speak English, so you would decide who do you want it with. We also have interpreters on our line, so if these aren't your strongest language, we're able to have interpreters to assist. So let's pretend we want it with me. Tomorrow I have a pretty open schedule, so I'll do one at 7:30. Click on 7:30. And then I would just put in all my contact information, name, your email, your phone number. The note section is very helpful because pretend you've been looking at models or you've been looking at a specific type of thing you would like to do. You would put that in the notes section, and that gives me a little bit of homework to do. I can read it beforehand so that I'm going in with a little bit of information to help a little better. And then I would click book, and then you would get an email confirmation. So this is our section for mobile food. Everything that we talked about is on the bottom here. And we have construction checklists. We have the application packet. We have frequently asked questions. These are also printed inside your goodie bag. But everything you need is on this section here. And if you have any questions, you can always call Jessica or I to clarify. Again, Jessica and I are the program leads. If you'd like, you can always contact us. Our main office line is 925-608-5500. And our email address is retailfoods@cchealth.org. Let's look at the cottage food operation foods, and then I'm going to hand it off to the city of Richmond. Okay, so it is managed by the state. So the state is part of California Department of Public Health, so CDPH. So like I said, it is always being updated. This most recent one was from March 2023, so a couple months ago. If this is something you're thinking about, let us know, because we'll put you in contact with the program lead, because that person's a little more knowledgeable than Jessica or I. But as just kind of a general, these are the types of food. So baked goods without cream, custards, or meat. So bagels, biscuits, brownies, candies. So like a caramel candy, a cotton candy, a hard candy, extracts containing at least 70% proof, a dehydrated, dried, and freeze-dried food. So for example, a bean soup mix, a cereal, frostings, honey, fruit butters, jams, and jellies, nuts, nut mixes, and nut butters, powdered drink mixes, and vinegars and mustards. I kind of flew through that a little quickly, but if you have a more specific question, I'll put you in contact with our actual lead for the program. But as you can see, it's mostly foods that do not contain. Actually, it is foods that do not contain something like a custard, a cream, or a meat. Okay. And I'm going to hand it off to City of Richmond now.
My name is Desiree Johnson. I'm the Business License Tax Specialist here with the City of Richmond. I'm going to review with you today our current tax measure and how to obtain a business license. So that's what we're going to go ahead and review for today. The things that we will cover is what is a business tax, what is Measure U, who needs a business license tax certificate, how much does it cost, and where to apply. What is a business tax? It is a general tax collected by the City of Richmond for the privilege of doing business in the community. It is not a sales tax or use tax or other excise tax on the sale, consumption, or use of any products. A lot of people do ask, because in the past we called it strictly a business license. It is still a business license. On applications and forms and different types of information that we distribute, you will see that it's stated as a business tax because we're currently under Measure U. Just note that the business license, business tax, those are essentially the same thing. Who needs a business license tax certificate? Every person conducting any business activity in the City of Richmond needs to obtain an annual business tax certificate and pay an annual business tax. This applies to home-based businesses, commercial businesses, and rental properties, as well as out-of-city businesses. How much does it cost? A business tax calculator has been created so a business owner can calculate the business tax owed. Please refer to our city's business tax calculator. I have the website listed here, and we also have it on our Measure U landing page. I will be reviewing that page briefly with you today, concluding this presentation. In addition to the business tax amount, there are flat rate fees too, meaning that we do charge a $35 registration fee for those first-time businesses. There's a $4 state mandated fee that all cities in the state of California may charge. If your business is located here in the City of Richmond, we do charge for zoning. And if you're operating from a commercial space here in the City of Richmond, we charge for fire inspection. This is essentially to make sure that the commercial space that you're inhabiting is set up for the type of business that you're running, and that no one has pulled down walls or rebuilt something since the last time the fire department has been there. So it's just to ensure safety and proper business usage. Also, the cost of your business license tax will be determined on your industry that you're doing business in. Essentially, many mobile food vendors, they will be a Class A business, and they can potentially fall into a Class B business. Most restaurants and operations that are essentially in one location is Class A. Those that are operating from a commercial kitchen may be considered a Class G business. We do have the different rates posted so that you can see how it applies to you. How to apply. We have many ways to apply for a business license. The first way is in person or by mail. I must tell you that in person is instantaneous. So if you need a license right away, please do visit us here at City Hall. We're located on the second floor where you can apply. If you're located here in the city, again, you have to be zoned so you can meet with a planner. Once you pay, you are considered licensed and you'll receive your certificate in the mail shortly thereafter. By mail may take a little bit more time, because it's snail mail, of course. If you do plan on coming in person, we are open Monday through Friday from 8:45 a.m. to 4 p.m. We also allow for you to download the application online on our landing page. And again, mail it in, fax it in, bring it in. We also have an online portal where you can electronically apply. That's through our eTrack It portal. There you can input all your information. Give us a few days to get it processed, as it may have to go to another department, come back to our department and our division for approvals. If you need more information, I do have our website here listed, and then I'll have some information and some QR codes available concluding the meeting. Now, I do want to take you to that page so we can take a look at some of the items available on what you can do. By clicking that link, it took me directly to our Measure You landing page, as you can see here. When you come to this page, we have a ton of knowledge for you displayed here. We have these huge, big horizontal dark blue buttons that you can press to get you to the information that you may need. As I previously discussed, that you can apply through our electronic portal. When you click here, it takes you over directly to eTrack It. As you're navigating through our eTrack It page, you can see that there are many different other departments and divisions that are listed here. We're always listed under business license tax. You would essentially apply for a new business tax. You would click here. And for those that have an established business, there's also buttons for you to renew, pay fees, or search for a license. When you click on there, we just ask that you create your own username and password to log in. From there, you will follow the steps and complete. And once you submit, as I stated, it takes a few days so we can go through the proper channels and then get approval. You can also download your application here as well. You can go to the Forms and Resources page. As you scroll down for Forms and Resources, we have everything that you need. Your business license application is here. And once it pulls it up, like I said, you can download, you can fill it in. You can pretty much complete all the information and details that you need. Back to our Measure You landing page. For those that don't understand the complete ordinance or do not know what it's about and you would like to educate yourselves, the first button here is our full ordinance. It's a 35-page document. It lists all the rates, the classifications, and industries that your business may fall under. If you are unsure on what classification you fall under, we do have the next button here. It has your principal business or professional activity codes, which is also known as a NAICS code, the NAICS code, which is a 6-digit number. Make Google your best friend. You can always research on Google what you think your business may be or what the 6-digit code may be. We have the codes here with the corresponding classifications to your right. You can do a simple search by hitting Control F or scrolling through the list. As I stated before, when you are inquiring about costs, in addition to our flat rates, we have our business tax calculator. When you click here and you go and you find your classification in the list, you simply click on that classification. You input what your gross receipts might be. You will estimate them out. As you type in your figures, it starts to calculate at the bottom, as you can see, and it'll have your amounts there. If you are unable to come to the city in person or mailing your information because you are confused, we do have 15-minute one-on-one Zoom meetings with the public. You simply can come to this landing page and you can click on this button. It will take you to Calendly. We host Zoom meetings every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you're calling about multiple businesses, please schedule for the proper times to allow for enough time for us to address your needs. We have an FAQ section as well as a business license issuing section. All of this information here is to support you in your business endeavors. Again, staff is available, and what you can find here on the rightmost part of the page is our contact information. We have a little chat bot too if you need some information. Let me minimize that. Here's our email. We have measure_u_info@ci.richmond.ca.us. And our line is 510-620-5555. Please do reach out if you need any further assistance, as we are here to help.
Okay, now we're going to have Marcos from our wastewater recovery unit, who's going to be talking about some of the requirements from our stormwater program.
Hello, I'm Marcos Magdaleno, and we're going to be talking about illicit stormwater discharges for street vendors. So just very briefly, we define illicit stormwater discharge basically as any storm drain that has any measurable flow during a dry period, and that discharge has pollutants or different pathogens within it. So just very briefly, these are some of the most common instances of illicit stormwater discharge that we see within the city, specifically with the trash. So if you'd like to contact us regarding any stormwater issues, we typically get stormwater illicit discharge complaints or storm drains being clogged up. We have our phone number at 510-620-6594, or you can put an online complaint via eTrackIt. And so I just want to quickly go over what the city regulations are regarding illicit stormwater discharge. And it's basically very cut and dry. The release of non-stormwater discharges to the city are prohibited. So that essentially, if it's not rain or coming from, rainfall, it is considered non-stormwater. And this is how we examine and our criteria that measures it. So any floating suspended solids, microscopic matter or foam, alterations of temperature, sediment load, or nutrient load, visible floating suspended or deposited oils are things we're looking for. Just different substances that might affect biological life within that water that will never really get to the bay. Sorry, there's a lot of words right here, but essentially best management practices are things that we advise those to look out for. Generally, what we see those in is, for street vendors, is going to be litter. We do not allow for any litter from street vendors to enter one of our storm drains. That also includes the sidewalks that you guys are operating within, and then also parking or paved areas that you might also be working in or around. How we plan to enforce this is failure to comply with any of the mandatory requirements that I spoke about earlier is considered a misdemeanor. Upon conviction of said misdemeanor, there will be 3 levels of basically administrative fines, starting at $250, increasing all the way up to the third, which is $1,000. And upon instances of the grave severity, we will have the responsible party actually pay for the cleanup of the storm drain, dependent on the inspector and what he deems fit. So just to retouch on what was spoken about earlier, for street vendors, we are looking for them to be associated with an approved grease trap. which is usually in the form of commissaries. It's typically what we encounter, and that is, in terms of fats, oils, and grease, the only way you may dispose of that. Under no circumstance are you allowed to dispose of any of that within any of our storm drains located throughout the city. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Thank you, Marcos. Does anybody have any questions regarding stormwater requirements? I mean, essentially, make sure you have your trash cans available for your customers, and that all gray water material is being disposed of at a commissary or an approved location. And just to let you all know, if you are proposing to do any sidewalk vending, we're currently in the process of developing an ordinance. And the ordinance would describe time, place, and manner restrictions for sidewalk vendors. We just want to make sure that, any sidewalk vendor that is locating on the sidewalk, one, not be located in the street in a parking space, or also isn't blocking people, whether they're in a wheelchair, in a stroller, but being able to walk through on the sidewalk. So we are in the process of developing some more detailed guidelines for vendors, but I think for now, just be conscious of other users of the sidewalk, and then we'll be reaching out. All right, well, thank you all for coming, and we look forward to working with you all on your new endeavors.